and welcome to the Daily Space Weather Floating Smash-O-Head Edition. Today, we're looking at the Sun in 193 angstroms. To see the South Pole coronal hole looking large and in charge once again. No sunspots. Looked like some were going to show up yesterday. Didn't happen. Coronal hole forming up here. The return of the purple pen. Cheers. Let's look at some more views. Like the 171 angstroms. And these are both 48-hour movies, folks. And you should be able to see the time and date stamps down at the bottom. Somewhere around down there. And we did a close-up here in 304 angstroms. Some filamentary behavior down in the southeastern limb there. Some minor prominences showing up here in the ionized helium wavelengths. And let's take a look at the fields. I think I forgot to download the movie, folks. And here are the fields, and again, no sunspots. Some potential sunspot growing regions are there, though. So there's that data for you. Some cycle 25 behavior down south of the equator and some cycle 24 behavior right on the equator. And this central dark region looks like a filament, and we'll analyze that at a later time. And next, some more data. KP index down to 1 as we see a very diffuse coronal hole. Wind stream still kicking off here, diffuse but kind of fast. We're going to skip cosmic rays today. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is at 72. X-ray flux is pretty much flatlined here. At least nothing above a B-class X-ray flare level. And there's the real-time solar wind from Discover. Solar wind density 1.7. And a slowly waning solar wind down to 421 kilometers per second. And there's the data from ACE. Geospace magnetosphere movies are looking kind of weak. And we still do have significant speed on the solar wind here, but very low density. The kind of conditions that put all the magnetohydrodynamic pressure in the magnetotail region, which is this part over here, if you're wondering, or if you're a new viewer. And let's look at ground geospace magnetic perturbations. Not a lot of those going on, and you can see the two geomagnetic poles in the north, one over Canada, one over Siberia. And you can see the location of the South Pole here, still appearing to creep toward southwestern Australia. Right around there. By the way, we've been returning to our live streaming on Twitch now, so perhaps consider checking out twitch.tv/smashomash, as some of the videos shall indeed show up first on Twitch live. It all depends on the state of affairs, and thanks to our latest patron. Please consider becoming a patron, the real source of funding for our content, as we need lots more funding this year, as there's a lot of things on tap. Also, if you don't like Patreon, and I know some viewers don't, we've recently set up a Subscribestar account, and look for that being rolled out later today. You can also donate via PayPal if you like. Also, please don't forget to press like and subscribe on YouTube. Link to Patreon is there on the home page as well, youtube.com/smashomash. And don't forget to check out BitChute, as there's exclusive content there, and we're seeing many times more views on BitChute than even on YouTube. So I'm sure that's not because of any sort of a shadow ban or anything, folks. I'm sure it's just a happenstance. I'm sure it's just bugs and glitches, you know, as there's like billions of YouTube users and a few million on BitChute. But anyway, check it out, bitchute.com/smashamash, as we're putting up more and more exclusive content. Yesterday we had our BitChute 100 subscriber spectacularly stacked social media special. Back to data, here's the aurora forecast, looking pretty weak. Magnetometer still looking pretty spiky, as we've been forecasting the whole time. Here's the Gong 2 data, and you can see mainly South Pole oriented current sheet here on the ecliptic where you live in the sun's B field, the interplanetary magnetic field. South Pole, like I said, large and in charge. A little bit of activity likely south of the equator, and that was the last sunspot actually. So there's still some activity there. And let's look at the coronal hole. What is this one? The line of sight field plot, which is showing you the south solar polar field in red, north solar polar field in green, and the B field in blue. Keep in mind the data is 2 hours and 28 minutes old today. And we link all that in the description. Electron flux is at pretty high levels here, and we are already in warning levels. So our patrons would have already known this, and there is some charging hazard undoubtedly on satellites, as well as GPS errors likely. And let me rock this forward. You can see there's some big GPS errors happening there in the South Pacific, southwest of Mexico especially, where your GPS will be off by maybe 100 meters. So there's the total electron content forecast. Keep in mind this is all based on a model, and it is one of the components actually that goes into the space weather modeling framework. So the electron flux, measuring the density of electrons in between you and satellites. Next we'll look at the ionosphere, and it's been looking a little more normal here, although we've been seeing anomalies in the South Pacific off the west coast of South America for a couple of months. And you can see the daytime charging where the sun is located right now. And looking pretty normal here. Here's the latest image. Looking pretty normal there. Do you follow me on Instagram? Exclusive content there also, such as lovely photos of the Appalachian Trail, as well as lovely citing of nonsense, lies, and BS on the internet, such as Google Junkware, ridiculous 5G protective baseball caps, and all kinds of other things like Nevada primaries. Now, public service message. Dear viewers, don't do this. Not that. Don't do this. And what is this? This is build a homemade rocket, because you will kill yourself. Just as Mad Mike Hughes did, the daredevil who built the homemade steam rocket, allegedly to figure out if he could see the curvature of the Earth. He got to about 1,800 feet or something like that the last time he launched one of these, and this time he killed himself, yesterday. So please don't do stupid things, folks. Leave rocket building to the professionals, or at least learn how to do it the way the professionals do it, and don't do something stupid, because you'll kill yourself. And I'm surprised this guy survived his first attempt. A sad day for home rocketry. Mad Mike Hughes, dead on February 22nd. Let's talk more human health stories. Good advice versus bad advice. Check out smashamash.com/forum. We've got 5 pages of information about coronavirus, so have yourself a read. We're not going to go into it super in depth here, but we've just updated it a few minutes ago with this Reuters article citing the fact that South Korea is now closing down entire cities. as well as northern Italy. So we've been talking about how it's been underreported the whole time, so expect to see this. Also possibilities of a much longer gestation period before symptoms present, possibly as long as nearly 4 weeks. So if it takes 28 days for symptoms to show up instead of 14 days, that's serious. And that's not the kind of thing you want to hear. Now, we're not talking about brain viruses, although we will talk about brain viruses later, probably on BitChute. And here's the graph. You can see the Chinese cases are starting to level out here. But that yellow line at the bottom is locations other than China. So that's not what we want to see particularly. Total confirmed cases now up to 78,000. Over 600 cases reported in South Korea. Over 130 in Japan. Nearly 80 in Italy at 79 cases there. Total deaths pushing 2,500 worldwide. And the U.S. showing 35 cases now. Deadly earthquake strikes Turkey. And this was the scene there, as at least 8 are dead. This story picked up by WFMZ.com, Channel 69. Hey, shout out Channel 69. Give me a ring about that appeal with the scum-sucking, bottom-feeding code enforcement officer who doesn't know the difference between a hedge and a weed. We'll give you a call if you don't. Hit us up, Channel 69. We've got updates on the story. Anyway, that 5.7 earthquake is my segue into the earthquake section. There's a deep quake at Dominica. It's only a 3.5 magnitude, but it's at over 100 kilometers depth. So we see a small uptick here, although not very many quakes and nothing over a 6 magnitude. Sadly, when you have badly constructed buildings, they are not earthquake resilient and people die. So know which buildings may crumble if you are involved in one. Go outside and have a look at which facades might fall on your head as you try to evacuate. Because even if you can't afford to put together a bug-out bag or prep food or whatever, just knowing what might happen is prepping in itself. Let's get back to the list. I think that's a foreshock there at Turkey, and indeed it was. Oh no, that was actually far west of where the larger quakes struck. There's a 5.5 out in the ocean off the west coast of South America. Make it 2, a 5.5 and a 5.0. And there's that 5.7 very close to the surface at only 6.4 kilometers depth and a 5.7 magnitude at Turkey, having caused at least 8 deaths already. And we see a 1.9 kilometer above sea level quake there at White Hawk, California. It's only a 2.5 magnitude. And let's move on to the volcano rundown. Klyuchevskoye back to erupting on the Kamchatka Peninsula. Flight level 20,000 there, so an uptick at Klyuchevskoye, Mount Aso. Flight level 6,000 there. Sakurajima flight level 8,000 there. Kadivar exploding, and now on the list producing a 5,000-foot ash plume. Tukono, continuous emissions producing a 7,000-foot ash plume. Popocatépetl exploding. Large 19,000-foot tall puff. Revenador, not sure, not seen in satellite. Sabancaya unable to detect. And Nevados de Chilean, no more emissions detected. Next we'll show you pressure zones as we do on the daily. We'll let it advance about 24 hours and then move on to more stuff. I don't know why the hell it says Lower Saucon Township. If you think I'm in Lower Saucon Township, go ahead, go look for me there. You won't find me. Anyway, there's the things there's where things will be at approximately 1 p.m. my time tomorrow. And for you new viewers, I'm located in eastern Pennsylvania, but not Lower Saucon Township. We see a lightning storm breaking out in the South Pacific. Check it out. The same spot as some ionospheric disturbances. That's a significant lightning storm there, folks. And if you're on a boat with Marky Mark here, you may want to get below decks, stop your grinning, and drop your linen. Now, don't take that the wrong way. And we're not in a hurry to get through the coverage, as we're covering also the U.S. Doppler radar. And there's the current state of affairs over the U.S. Some snow falling in central Colorado, as well as Utah. Some in Arizona. And I'm over that. Let's look at the jet streams. There you have the jets in the western world. And some very odd jet stream flow there off of the northwest coast of Africa. As well as some due north to south flow here over northern Canada. Speaking of northern Canada, Dr. Robitaille, email me. Seriously, send me an email. Send it to smashomash@gmail.com. Or perhaps we'll use a more secure line. And there is the eastern jet streams, and tripled up in the northern hemisphere, blowing the wrong way in some spots. And here are the water vapor maps for Africa as well as Europe. See some very dry air out there in the central Atlantic as well as in the extreme southern Atlantic. Have you had your protons today? Alright, so here's a U.S. water vapor map. And you see dry air is in charge of the Atlantic Ocean largely. And there's some convergences happening over Pennsylvania today. Let's take a look. I apologize for the squeaky mouse wheel. It's like a brand new mouse. And I just don't even care. I'm not even going to fix it. I don't even know if I can fix it. And you can see that dry air kind of acting like a barrier there, holding up that moister air in the trailing mode. And we see some nice Hall currents over Pennsylvania today. All of those areas where the water vapor is perpendicular to the mode of travel. Zoom in even farther. And there's the situation over Pennsylvania. Next we're going to look at the sun as we get into bonus features and then close this mother out. There's the latest intensity gram. And what we're showing you here is that there aren't any sunspots. Next we'll look at the colorized magnetogram to check out those areas of magnetic complexity, and there's not very much going on as they're all degrading. So let's do one more bonus feature. And it's the full disk view here of the local yellow dwarf. It's 304 angstroms. Now we showed you some filaments down here in the southwest, which you'll see at the end of the video. Those were just from today. This is 48 hours worth. Anyway, we are out. Don't forget to stare at the sun. Don't drink, and if you drink, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your arteries.